I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place. Good morning. So these words aren't in your bulletin, but I think they're in your brain. I can see clearly now. Do you all know this song? Okay, stand if you know it and sing it with me. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I knew you'd know it. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. I hope so. I think I can make it now. The rain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. One more time. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. That was beautiful, you guys. Yes.
One voice. So I put my microphone on myself, which is always dangerous. Jerry? How's it working back there? Great. Thank you. Good morning. I'm wearing my Valentine's scarf. Yeah, must be Valentine's Day. And I'm looking at our chief greeter out there, and she is wearing Valentine colors. Love is in the house. I'm seeing red, 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 and a red coat, and a burgundy sweater, and the people from France are just in their regular clothes. Valentine's Day in France probably is not a big holiday, I'm thinking. Oh, and another red. There we go. I could use all the help I can get. Thank you. That's for you. Yeah, that's for Ann and Judy. We greet you on this Sunday morning in the warm and loving spirit of unity. We greet you with open hearts and with that experience of knowing that no one comes here by accident. You have to work to get here. I don't know where you drove from or what your experience has been that brought you into this place on this day at this moment in time. But it's never by accident. We find ourselves following a divine course, a journey that brings us to moments in time, unlike any other. And no matter what Sunday it is, here at Unity Skagit Valley, in beautiful downtown Mount Vernon, Washington, you never know what's going to happen. So it's unlike any other moment in time. Every Unity church throughout the country, throughout the world, Unity groups who meet on Sunday mornings and other days of the week, we move in a rhythm, in a harmony that believes that God is good and everywhere present, that we are divinely and uniquely made, that everything, both within and without our life experience, is part of a divine journey of unfolding. We believe the power and the presence of this that we call the One is a power of love and an ever unfolding promise of goodness. We believe that anyone, through a change in mind and a change in heart, can bring about a change in their lives. And that's the practical teaching of unity upon which all the ministries and all the other expressions of unity in all the forms teach. We believe that with a change of your mind, a change of your heart, you can change your life. It's a powerful teaching. It's available for all who seek a higher path and a deeper understanding and a willingness to abide by the realization that we create through our thoughts, through our awareness, the experience of life that we're having in this moment in time. Not just the experience itself. Experiences are random, but the way in which we become more present in the experiences of our lives, to learn and grow and unfold into ever higher and more expansive expressions of our own divine nature. So if it's your first time here online, we welcome you. And to all of our friends who are not here this morning, but who are with us online, we love you and we bless you, and we so appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And for those of you in the sanctuary, thank you. Thanks for following whatever your heart was leading that brought you here this morning. And we love you, and we bless you, and we appreciate you. And as we say in unity, we behold the Christ in you, the truth of you, your own divine nature. Richard Treston is our daily word reader this morning, or Heather's our daily word reader, or somebody is I don't see the microphone in anyone's hand.
I'm gonna give it to you.
Oh, great. I'm getting out of the way. I, who know nothing, step aside for great wisdom. The word for today is compassion.
I am so grateful that this is large print, because guess who doesn't have her glasses?
It happens, yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Today's word is compassion. Acts of loving compassion build my strength. Whether in my community or across the world, many people face hardships. As a member of the human family, I am inspired to undertake compassionate action and help however I can. Sometimes just a prayerful thought or simple blessing can make a powerful difference in someone's life. Other times, I may be able to take more direct action. I may listen to someone deeply as they share the concerns of their heart, or I may volunteer to drive them somewhere or complete errands for them. Regardless of the form my compassionate actions take, I am motivated to be of sacred service, to bring the love and care of God into manifest form through my decisive action. When he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them and cured their sick. Matthew 14:14. Acts of loving compassion build my strength.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As I was speaking to you, flowers grew. I mean, I was busy and flowers grew. Pretty amazing. Miracles. We invite you to utilize our prayer team service by filling out a prayer request, putting it into the box on the credenza this morning. If you're online, we invite you to submit a prayer request to unitysv.org, and that's info@unity, S as in Sam, V as in Victor, or Skagit Valley as the case might be. Go online, you can make a donation there, you can submit a prayer request, you can get a question answered, you can offer information, unitysv.org or info@unitysv.org. So if you have a prayer request, please submit it this morning. We hold in our hearts those who are in need of prayer today, and we place our attention both near and far. We realize that prayer and the energy of prayer is not a contained event or moment or restricted by time or space. As we offer prayer, we do so knowing we're directly connected, and whatever we can do to hold light and bring the awareness of wholeness and bring the awareness of the presencing of all that is needed, as we can hold that in our hearts for others, wherever they may be, they experience that as a sign of support, light, whatever the case may be. We combine our prayers with the prayers of all others who also pray. And as our attention moves to Turkey and Syria, and the incredible numbers that are involved in that horrific earthquake. The numbers, unthinkable numbers, when you relate it to human beings. If you lined up 28,000 people and know that they all left together in some common agreement, what could that possibly be that so many would go at once? Is it possible to believe into the idea that there is, in a moment of catastrophe, a common agreement on some level, and that those no longer limited by time or space, or where will they live, or what will they eat, have risen, have moved forth from this earthly existence into that new life experience, that something eternal and infinite that has always been so. We pray for those who remain, those who are injured, those yet to be found. We pray and know for every human life, for every animal life, for every moment of experience, for those who remain, that what we call the great peace and comfort and grace of God, the ever-present Holy Spirit, is with each one in all the stages. And we say we cannot comprehend the depth and the height of this experience, but in our hearts we can be with you and hold that life is whole and you are present with all as you have always been in new form, and yet ever present. May there be light. May there be light. May there be peace. May there be peace. May there be that experience of the ever uplifting wings of pure love and light. Spirit, you know the way. You know the work. We all belong in the experience of the moment, and in that realization we hold that the highest is unfolding even now. Let our hearts remain softened, and our peace be deeply felt, that we might bear light. And so it is. Amen. We have a board retreat this week. Jerry and I are persevering through whatever bug we contracted. Not at the same time, not in the same place, but nonetheless. We're retreating for a day to vision and see what is inviting us in our own unfolding as a spiritual community. So think of us on Thursday. We'll be meeting from 9:30 to 3:30 or until we say done. Bring in extra beds, Sam and Denise. It's at their house, gratefully. I think what I want to do is share this now and then move on into just a brief silent time. It's called The Heart Will Find Its Own by James Dillard Freeman. How sweet are the syllables that signify love. The human heart has no deeper longing than to utter or hear uttered the words, I love you. They're like the sight of land to a sailor long adrift. We may pursue many ends, power, pleasure, riches and knowledge, health and fame, and they are worthy ends, but without love, they mean little. All things work together for good to those who love. Love is an attracting force. It draws to itself all that is needed to make life complete. Love gives power, for love is mighty to persuade. Love provides riches, riches of spirit, the riches of a life well lived. Love is a source of health. All the powers of the mind and all the forces of the body are harmonized by love, blended into a healing spirit. Love makes us one with the loving, living Spirit of God. Without love, this existence is life imprisonment. Until love sets us free, we are confined in the narrow prison of ourselves. Who has never felt bound as if by walls? Love bursts through these walls of self. We seek and do not know what it is that we seek, and yet often a word will fill the emptiness. A touch will ease the ache. How little of love it takes to make a house of happiness out of a lonely heart. We have seen love in the look of a young man and woman, in the arms of a mother cradling a baby, in the clasped hands of friends, in the bent back of an old priest bowed in the service of God, in the eyes of a student poring over treasured volumes, in the patience of a biologist peering through a microscope, in the beauty and order of the universe that is the sign of God's love for us. What is love? To understand love, one must experience it. Some seek popularity, believing that the approval of people is love. But love is more than popularity. Others seek prestige, believing that this is love. But love is more than prestige. Above all, love is sharing. Love is power. Love is change, a change that takes place in our hearts. Sometimes it may change others, but it always changes us. To love is to find happiness. It is to understand what others think and feel and need. It is to say and do the things that make them eager to be with us, and to do these things not for effect, but because it's natural for us to do them. It is to know the imperfection of others and yet see them as perfect. It is to know their weaknesses and yet see them strong, and because of our vision and our faith, to make them stronger than they are. It is to accept others as they are, and when they fail our aspirations for them or spurn our outstretched hands, we keep open the doors of our hearts. It is to appreciate the importance of others and to help them appreciate their own importance. It is to grow into the hearts of others and to become a part of their lives, and yet not bind their hearts nor circumscribe their lives. It is to lose ourselves in something greater than ourselves, as a small spark loses itself in other sparks and becomes a star. There is no unworthy love. The object of love may seem, I'm changing the word, may seem unworthy. The object of love may seem unworthy, but love is the supreme beauty, the final joy. Even if sorrow comes with love, love makes us able to meet it and transfigure it, to rise through it as we could not have done had we never loved. When we are in love with an idea, a person, people, God, we walk on the pinnacles of life. We are lifted out of ourselves and become something more than we have ever been before. Yeah, love. Just that. Not because someone loves us, not because we got all of our dreams answered, not because life is moving the way we're trying to control the stick to create a particular outcome. People believe that there can be an absence of love, that there's a limited quantity. We also believe that at times we're incapable of loving, as though our hearts are somehow heavy and walled. One of the greatest things we learn is not just to be a giver, but to allow that unveiling of the heart to occur, to be a receiver. We say, love me the way I want you to love me, and therefore will be the evidence that I am loved. But when we see that love is coming at us from every direction and every movement and expression of life, we know that we couldn't possibly be alone or without the gift of love. Valentine's Day is promoted as a day to honor your person. Remember in school, the Valentine box. Did I get as many as the one next to me? It was pure evidence that we were loved. And then we grew a little beyond that, and we suddenly decided that it was about a particular person, that love lived in a particular person. And then our hearts were broken a few times, and we decided that maybe love was something beyond our comprehension, and we made choices that somehow we believed would make it all work. But until our capacity to receive love, not just from others, but from the great lover, loving the beloved, you, until we receive that as the only real enduring love there is, and that it shows up in moments, but is an experience that can't disappear in time, in space, in place, in person. Until we can come to that, there's always a feeling of emptiness somehow, as though just a little more love would make it all better, as though the whole universe wasn't loving us completely, totally in that moment in time. But we say, but I'm alone. I know, I hear, I know. People take their lives because they're alone, that inability to feel the incredible love and support, or lost, become so lost on the path. And yet we continue to seek an understanding that we teach in everything we teach, which is it's not about what's around you. That comes and goes and changes in an instant. In fact, it's what's within you. And until we can begin to receive at that level, there's always that just around the corner something that's going to rob us of what we most need. But of course it can't be so. Maybe not that person. Maybe not that experience. Maybe not that something. But in everything. Most particularly in the place where you're sitting. Loving you, the universe said, is easy. Letting yourself be loved is the great journey. So to you, each one, may you know how deeply and dearly you are loved and appreciated and seen as who you truly, truly are. Just a moment of stillness for us. As we allow ourselves to be, for a moment, immersed, saturated with this presence of love, more than could meet any need you've ever had, flowing in and through you in every element and aspect of your form and beyond your form in your limitless nature. Love. For the pain in your heart. To the place where you feel lost or alone or unloved. In this moment, if you could just tenderly touch your own heart, touching it with both your hands as you put your hands to that place where your heart lives. And breathe there. Breathing in and through. Not a breath could be taken. Not a heartbeat could beat. Except that it is that pure spirit of love flowing fully and freely in you now. Gently receive. Allow yourself to enter that space of believing I am loved. I am loved. I am loved. I am loving. I am loving. I am the very movement of love in and through life, all of life. I am loved. Together, I am loved. And again, I am loved. And one more time, I am loved. And so it is, you are loved. And we are grateful. Amen.
I am called to be a healer for all humanity. I am called to be a dreamer, believe in what can be. I am called to be a maker, be an instrument of peace. I am called to be a giver, of abundance I receive. I am called to be a prayer, living out the truth I seek. I am called to be everything I am called to be. Called to be the glory here on earth, so I might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. I am the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We are called to be. You are called to be a mother, to nurture family. You are called to be a brother, be strength in times of need. You are called to be a neighbor, see a friend in all you meet. You are called to be a leader, to build community. You are called to be a prayer, living out the truth you seek. You are called to be everything. You are called to be. Called to be the glory here on earth, so I might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. You are the living, breathing God, and we are one. We are called to be. We are called to be the kindness, set the brokenhearted free. We are called to be forgiveness, where pain has run too deep. We are called to be compassion, be the wind beneath each wing. We are called to make communion, only then we can succeed. We are called to be a prayer, living out the truth we seek. We are called to be everything. We are called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. I am the living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We are called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be. Called to be. Thank you.
Yeah. Ouch. We're so blessed. We are so blessed. Thank you. What a great, great song that is. Thank you. Whew. Goosebumps. Goosebump music. We have anybody here, I'm learning to revise the way I say this, who would like to identify themselves to the group, who haven't been here or would just like people to know your name. Anybody want to stand up and say hi? I'm looking at you. Hi. Hi, Debbie. Thank you for being here. You know, you've got to watch out for Margot. She could lead you anywhere. Yeah. Oh, she's got a boot on? Oh, it's the group. It's the boot group. Yeah. Bone repair stuff. Yeah, no kidding. Heal quickly. I was sitting there and it came to me that I needed to say something about something. It'll come back if it wants to. I don't know why I chose, you hear me say this so often, I don't even know why I would say it. What I say seldom ever lines up with the title that I gave Ward. And I give him those titles because he asked for them, and he persistently believes that they're going to be what I say. And he persistently discovers that that is just not the case. But Ward trusts me, and if he trusts me, I'm in good shape. Let me just get my numerous papers in order. Sometimes you're just silent, huh? Okay, we start. Ann Hillman, you have to wait for the pump to turn on. You ever do that at home and you have to wait for a minute for the hot water to come through? Well, yeah. And then it does, and you're so grateful. So Ann Hillman wrote a book that actually has been one of the most significant books I've ever had, called Awakening the Energies of Love. And the subtitle of it is Discovering Fire for the Second Time. And the first part of the book is much more about the evolution of consciousness and from our primordial self into and through our evolution and development as conscious beings. And then there comes a point in the book where it shifts and it becomes very personal. She studied with Richard Moss. She studied with Brian Swim, the extraordinary being who did Canticle to the Cosmos. She was a student of his. She was a student of Richard's. She was, I met her in Santa Barbara the year before we moved. And somebody called her and said I was teaching a class on her book. And she called me and she said, how is it? How is it for you to teach this material? And then I said to her, would you like to come here sometime? Thinking sometime people always are booked out years. And she said, just give me a date and I'm there. So she came and did a retreat, a couple of days of retreat for a group of people. And they've never forgotten the impact of Anne Hillman on their own experience. And maybe some books hit us the way they do because that's just what we're ripe for. We're ripe, not just right for it, but it's right for us where we find ourselves in any given time. And those books become way pavers. We come back to them. They're foundational for us over and over and over again. The number of Saturday nights that I pull that book are just, over the years since I've had it, probably in a month I'll pull that book at least 3 times. Just to review parts of it or read stories or enter into the consciousness that she's coming from, because I find such worth and value in it. So this is one of Anne Hillman's stories. Off the plane and on the road before 7:30 in the morning, I am alone and driving along the freeway from the Burbank, California airport to visit my daughter. I'm feeling so delighted at the prospect of some quality time with her. After a few miles, something leads me to turn my attention to the mystery of presence. Something prompts me to drop in, she said. And then she adds, this is a dangerous thing to do when driving. It's not my usual practice, but I include it with apologies because it offers such an easily communicated example of the kingdom. Apologies to the universe for putting them on warning that she is driving while being in presence. What does that feel like to be in presence? Many of you know. It's a kind of breath you take. In a way, you drop your energy into center, your attention, the focus of your attention. So she's already had a plane trip. She's in the car. She's going someplace to be with someone she loves. And she draws spontaneously on presence. She just goes there, like we could just go there. Like we don't have to go through all of the mountain climbing and all of the stuff. You can just go there. And it's a very wide open experience in that moment. But the shift moves from front center brain, forward brain, into that deep drop into center brain and then down into the opening that goes with that. And there's a very, very, very quiet stillness. So she's driving the car. Ordinarily, I'm pretty tense when I drive on Southern California highways, and more than a bit fearful. The drivers here can be aggressive and their speed very fast. But today, alert, yet resting in the presence, I'm aware of a difference. How pleasant the drive seems. How courteous the drivers. How measured the tempo of the morning rush hour. We're all just flowing along easily. No one tailgating, no one cutting in front of me. It feels utterly remarkable. Do you think those drivers changed their point of focus? At the moment when, as she became more expansive, the experience around her became more fluid, dropped in, became more expansive. I've driven this freeway countless times, and as I slow to take the Topanga Canyon exit, I turn east in the opposite direction from my daughter's home. Continuing along the road, I feel slightly uncertain and wonder whether I might have missed the correct turn. No, I say to myself, I could drive to her house in my sleep, right? Reassured, I drive on. The surroundings still seem a little unfamiliar, but I never quite know. So much of the landscape here can seem the same. And after all, it's a foggy morning, and things don't ever look the same in the fog. Further along, I begin to wonder, have I just not noticed this group of houses or that intersection? I keep watching. Almost 10 miles east of my daughter's home, I notice a sign for a large Sears Roebuck shopping center. And I know I've never seen it before. And now I know indeed I've gone the wrong way. I decide to call my daughter and drive into the main entrance of the huge parking lot. It's so early that the lot is completely empty. And still I make 5 very conscious choices. At the end of the entrance lane in front of the store, there's an option to turn left or right. I choose the right. And shortly afterward, there's another intersection. At this choice point, there are easily 500 empty parking spaces fanned out to the left, another several hundred straight ahead, and hundreds more to the right. I decide to turn right. 50 yards further, I see a long, empty row at the far boundary of the lot, right next to Topanga Canyon Road. As I approach it, a space halfway down the row and facing the road I'd been driving seems just right. I make a left and then turn right into the space, pull on the parking brake, and ring my daughter. I've taken a wrong turn on Topanga. It's probably 10 miles out of my way. Oh, Mom, have you by any chance noticed a Sears Roebuck out that way? I love this story. Why, yes, that's where I've stopped to call you. Mom, would you mind doing an errand for me? There's a tiny little vacuum cleaner repair shop right across from Sears on the other side of Topanga Canyon Road. I made the trip over there early this morning, but they weren't open yet, and we really need the part they fixed. Could you pick it up for me? I glance up and peer through the fog. Why, hun, it's straight across the street. My headlights are shining right on its front door. Wrong turn. No wrong turns. It's an amazing story, isn't it? This is about the confidence in not knowing, but the confidence in something is always revealing itself that is yet to be seen and yet to be known. The confidence that Spirit is always revealing just in that place of right turn, wrong turn, or seeming right turn, wrong turn. Something that's bringing order out of what was not present before, or didn't seem to be. And yet, as she takes us through the parking lot, and then there was a decision to be made, and I decided to go right. And then out of the thousands of parking places, there's another, and I decide to go right. And then there's a spot, and for some reason, I'm called to park there. And then the next piece unfolds. I believe that that's how intimately we're being consciously and unconsciously. I don't want to use the word directed. I don't even want to use the word guided. How intimately we're woven into this wholeness, into this order, this perfect order. And it isn't that we're woven into it, it is the very order of being itself. So we call it divine order. I have over the last few years decided that of all the powers that we teach about in unity, the divine order is the one that most continuously and consistently supports me in going deeper, letting go, and moving forward. I take a lot of wrong turns, but something in me would have turned right, but now I'm going around the block, and there's that Starbucks in a foreign location where some town I've never been before, and I get coffee at 4 in the morning on my way home from my mother's in Seaside. Longview's a very confusing town, but I've discovered where my favorite Starbucks is. and in that, there are moments when, and in all things, when I'm lost. And what she says about her experience is, I was lost, but not. Lost from what? Lost out of what? How is it possible to be lost in a system that is all about wholeness and no inside outside, like there's a place you could fall off and be lost? No. Your life has taken a right turn or a left turn, but you didn't fall out of perfect order. There's some adjustment that's asking to be made, some awareness, and it takes time for that to gestate in the midst of us. You say, well, I screwed it up this time. Well, not. Because you can't. There's only one mind, we say. There's only one presence. There's only one mind. There's only one source of intelligence and all wisdom. And it's not by choice that we have it or don't have it. It's by reality that is the underlying truth of all life. It's wholeness. You can't get out of it. I mean, you can get out of your body, but you can't leave wholeness. Where do we think all of that goes? that you get, 70 good ones and the rest of it's downhill, and then you're lost somehow in something that doesn't make any sense, like wholeness doesn't exist beyond our physical body. That's how addicted we are to the idea about we're pieces of a whole, we think. You can't call it wholeness and say there are pieces that aren't whole. They might need a little attention, a little adjustment here, a little awakening here, but the same presence that was before birth is the same presence that's with us in full support now and beyond. I have a sweet friend from Santa Barbara who made his transition this week. And I loved him because I could be totally disrespectful, and he never took it personally. And so we could be like disrespectful children with each other. But the saddest part was that the onset of disease and the progression moved much more quickly than anyone imagined that it would, and then he became very frightened, and up to the last couple of hours before he passed, he was in a very, very fearful state. Because we don't understand on some level that love doesn't end, that life doesn't end. We may not understand what happens beyond that line. But we understand that if we're going to believe in an everywhere presence, I mean, we've taken God out of the box, shaken it off, matured our mind around it, accepted an idea of everywhere presence. But we say not in Syria, not in the flood, not in the... Where? You can't say, I believe in an everywhere presence of life, love, peace, power, wisdom, perfect order. And then take parts of that out and go, no, except here. Except this tiny little piece here. I was thinking about pixels this morning. I don't know anything about pixels, trust me. I know nothing about photography and nothing about pixels. I know, though, when I'm streaming something and it starts breaking up into little fractionated pieces, that it's about the pixels there. I'm losing power and the pixels are... So, and then suddenly there's the picture again. It's reassembled itself into wholeness. And, we break things up into different patterns and colors and languages and places. And we think, well, here but not there, and there but not here, when in fact the whole is still present. It's just a temporary distortion in the stream, and that's normally something to do with my perception, that I'm seeing parts and fragments instead of whole. Seeing whole, seeing from wholeness, doesn't mean that everything that happens is as we would have it be, but it's contained in this immeasurable state of wholeness, and has been from a point that people try to describe as a beginning point. But no one ever fell off or out of wholeness. Somebody went too close to the edge and fell off. You can't. You are part of a oneness, a wholeness, with an originating energy that is bringing forward constantly of itself into manifestation in all these seeming facets and separations. And when we don't see that, we move toward fear. And when we move toward fear, we lose our ground. And then we begin to experience all that's associated with the feeling of separation, and yet it need not be that way. Well, it needs to be that way until it's not. Until I start learning more about what it means to live in perfect flow, in perfect synchronicity, in perfect order. I begin to associate things like her drive to see her daughter. Hello. How are you? Anyway, they've sent her away from the children's room for whatever reason. They throw you out?
I want her to come in.
I'm glad. I'm happy to see you in the company. That fractured experience then, the way in which we are integrating and communicating, breeds then these experiences when in flow state. And by flow state, I can refer back to what Ann Hillman said because I've experienced it. That deep drop into a greater, more expansive acceptance of life and the moment and the perfection and the love. And when that happens, it seems that everything shifts, and what I think I can't handle or manage or deal with becomes just another way to move into the awareness of a wholeness that has as at its origin perfection. Doesn't mean there isn't an alteration or an adjustment that can be made there. It's not a passive state. The decision came to her several different times. Recognize where you are. If you don't know where you are, recognize you're lost and start from there. What do I do to be found? I move back to the awareness of presence. I move back to the awareness of wholeness. I move back to the awareness of this ever harmonizing, coordinating thing we call love and good and life in all its changing forms. She says a little later in what she's written that she's going through a lot of growing experiences within herself. What she calls that is shedding the layers. Shedding layers of the self as I've known myself to be. Shedding those fears, those negative thoughts, those old ideas, the limitations. She said, like a snake sheds skin. It's not comfortable. There's a period where you're blind in that. So she said, I was in one of those phases. And I couldn't figure out what else to do. Sometimes when we talk about spirit as being everywhere present, we lose the sense of how personal that is. She said, I went to my knees beside the bed as though I were a child. And I said, lead me through this time. And basically, she said, here are her words, I get on my knees by my bed like a little child and surrender to love. I don't even know what to ask. I ask only that the last layers of my defensiveness or my sense of separation be peeled away. She said she went outside. She got into, they have a stone hot tub on their property. She said, I sat there and I heard the words, lay your ego down. Lay that part of you that has to be knowing, has to know the way, and allow love to take you, lead you, reveal the way. And then she said, I've spent a lifetime refusing love. But she said the kingdom of heaven is only love. And the kingdom of heaven is where? Within. We live and move and have our being in a kingdom of love, a perpetual experience of pure love. She said, when I surrendered to love, things started to come together again in a new way. Something new was born. There's so much more going on around us than we're able to see or feel. A fullness to existence that we'll never understand, a fullness to existence. To name its revelations synchronicity can barely hint at its majesty. To call our stumbling upon it intuition scarcely touches the edge of the holy garment that enfolds us. This life behind the life we know is more than we think, more than we can symbolize. When we rest in this deep communion in the kingdom, we are home. I could say to life, I'm lost. Find me. And we discover that it isn't that I surrender to love. Love surrenders me into a state of love. And in that, she said, we discover that it isn't at all what we thought it was. And the journey goes on. Let's share our tithes and love offerings. As you hold your gift in your hand, or if you're giving online, I encourage you to hold that in your heart and in your hand, symbolically. I give joyfully and easily, for God is my source, and abundance is my nature, and so it is. Our children are coming. They're coming, they're coming. I know they're coming. I'm sure they're coming. They're obviously busy. Oh, here they come now. Look. Oh, look. Valentine headbands. How cool is that? I'm Miss Lilybug. Hi, darling. What's that over on the table? What is that? Chocolate? Chocolate hearts? No kidding? Chocolate for everybody? If you get there quickly enough, I think. So, so in a second when we're complete, if you're craving, it's waiting for you right there. All right, so we end our service. Debbie, thank you for being with us this morning. Thank you each for being here. Grateful for you. Grateful for our French family. We miss you when you're not here. We're always thrilled when you are. They'll be leaving on Thursday to go back to that place far, far away. But they think of us, and sometimes they watch us. And we love that so much. Yeah? Huh?
It's 8 o'clock our time, so we get to lay down.
They hang out to watch church.
Would love to show up in your pajamas. We are.
So join us in the prayer for protection, and maybe you want to stand. Oh, you want to bless? I'm sorry, I forget. Do it, Betsy.
Children of light, we
We
love you.
We bless you.
And
We appreciate you just the way you are. Hi, Kate. How are you? Let's stand and do our prayer for protection together and then sing our peace song. And if you're hesitant about holding hands, just drop hands and stand close to each other, nearby. How about that? Elbow to elbow. All righty. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Hey, you. And you know the words to the peace song. Let's sing the peace song together. Come on, you lead.